Hey, what's up? I just wanted to give an update about my life. I was out riding my bike on a commute home and I broke my collarbone. Sucks, huh? You know, it's kind of funny. After 2 years of racing, of like being in this pack of this dangerous crit racing, I broke my collarbone on a commute home. So let me tell you how this all went down. I was riding home. I got to a red light and I had a coat on, a jacket on, and then my backpack on. So I stopped at the red light. I'm like, okay, I want to take off my jacket. It's getting a little bit warm. So I got off my backpack, kind of set it on the handlebars, and started taking my jacket off, and the light turned green. Well, I didn't want to be caught like through another cycle of lights, so I'm like, oh, I'll just get going and then just take off my jacket as I'm going. Ended up being a little too much. I got about halfway through the intersection and I'm juggling my backpack on my handlebars while also taking off my jacket. Ended up getting my jacket off and was kind of trying to get situated. At that point, I felt my sleeve of my jacket get sucked into the front fork. And I knew something was going to happen that was bad. So I tried to put on the brakes, but not too much. All of a sudden, just my front wheel stopped, just like bam. And I flipped over the front end of the handlebars. I wasn't going that fast. I was going maybe 10 miles an hour, but it was just enough to get me over those handlebars. And man, I fell, I hit the ground, and my first reaction was actually, I was embarrassed. I was like, oh no, I could hear my Garmin beeping because of the emergency thing. I'm like, oh, I don't want it to call Natalie. I don't want her to worry. It took everything I could to get over to my bike, which was just a few feet away, and turn that off to cancel it. At that point, that's really where it started to settle in, and I just laid on the ground. I couldn't do anything else. I ended up reading about this after, how when you break your bone, you actually do lose all your energy. You just want to sit down or lay down. I didn't know that at the time, though, and I thought something was really wrong with me. I was at a pretty public place. There was a lot of traffic, and people started to kind of congregate around me and ask, hey, are you okay? One really nice gentleman was really helping me, and I'm like, can you call my wife, please? And he dialed her number on the phone for me and got a hold of her, and I said, yeah, I'm not doing good. Somebody called an ambulance for me, which I was actually really grateful for. I knew when I fell that I broke my collarbone. I heard just a little crack. It wasn't huge. It wasn't like a twig or a branch breaking, but I definitely heard it. I put my hand on my clavicle and I could feel a bump. So when the ambulance came, I told them, as they were asking me questions, I said, I broke my clavicle. And he's like, how do you know? And I said, I could feel it, and he looked, he could see this big bump sticking out. He's like, yeah, okay. And the ambulance started asking me, they're like, well, do you want us to take you to a hospital? I'm like, no, let me just get a hold of my wife and she can take me. So I was talking to my wife on the phone. I'm like, when can you come and get me? She's like, I'm 20 minutes away. And so I'm like, I'll just take the ambulance to the hospital. So I went to the emergency room. It wasn't very eventful. I talked to the doctor. They're like, yep, looks like you have a broken clavicle. Let's get x-rays and confirm. So I went in, got a couple x-rays, yep, it was broken. And they pretty much were like, okay, here's a sling, see ya. Definitely wasn't life-threatening. As I started getting up to leave, though, I stood up and I started to see stars a little bit. Kind of like before you get a migraine, how you start seeing those stars. It was like that. And I told the doctor that. And he said, yeah, you probably have a little concussion. And I'm like, yeah, I probably hit my head and I probably do. But I didn't look at it any more than that. He just referred me to an ortho that I was supposed to go see. And so that was my next step. I went home and that was that. That first week was not cool. Let's see. So it happened on a Thursday. I had an appointment with the doctor the next Monday. And that was right around Halloween as well. And I have 2 little kids. I wanted to go trick-or-treating with them. Stupidest thing I've ever done, but I went trick-or-treating with a broken collarbone without seeing the doctor or anything like that. That was like a hard night. Really, I can't believe I did it. You know, I'm glad I didn't miss it, but it was pretty stupid of me. The emergency room doctor pretty much told me a very small percentage of collarbone fractures need surgery, that I'd just be down for a few weeks. And, you know, I was like reading online, I'm like, okay, this is about like 6-week recovery or so, which totally was not true. It takes a lot longer than that, maybe closer to 6 months. But, you know, I was like, okay, yeah, we'll do this. 6 weeks, I'll just be down, whatever. I met with the ortho and he looked at it and he was like, you know, we should probably do surgery on this. The fracture, I guess, was really long. Like it was horizontal across my bone, and that it wouldn't sit. Like the muscles tighten around it, and it also gets inflamed, and that's to kind of like hold your body in place. And I remember I'd try and like relax my arm or almost like kind of expand it, and I could feel the skin or the muscle going across the bone, sliding. It was a really unnerving feeling. But anyway, so like this joint was not stable. Part of it was sticking up. And one other thing that was a pretty bad signal was it was tinting, meaning that a piece of bone was sticking up and like slowly rubbing across the skin. Which, you know, if that happens enough, it could actually rub its way all the way through the skin and be exposed and be open, which is a pretty bad thing for infection and stuff like that. So I decided to have surgery. This was on a Monday, but the doctor wasn't doing surgeries until Thursday. So that's exactly 1 week after I had the accident, which sucks because that means that I basically have that first week, which is the worst week, twice. Once when I broke it and then once after surgery. So anyway, I went into surgery. It actually really wasn't a problem that I can think of. I got there. It was really early morning. I didn't sleep well the night before. Got all ready, got all prepped. The doctor came in, said hi, and I went into surgery. It was supposed to take about an hour and a half. And, you know, obviously I don't remember any of that happened. But after it was done, the time had gone pretty long, right? It was about 3 hours. And I guess the surgery took a little bit longer because he needed to put in a bigger plate than what he was expecting. And the problem with these plates, they're not actually like fitted to your bone because every bone's different, right? They do have like the right lengths and stuff like that, but they actually have tools to shape these plates while they're in surgery. And so he took quite a while having to shape this really big plate for my bone. I can show you. It starts about right here and goes all the way to right here, which is just massive. And that's because of that more horizontal fracture that I actually had. So yeah, anyway, I got into recovery and I'm like, okay, yeah, this is gonna suck. But you know, 6 weeks I'll be back up and good. I took time off work. I heard that I should take 6 weeks off, but I was thinking like, no way. I have a desk job. I'll be able to be back sooner than that. But like, no, I'm taking off the whole 6 weeks, and you really need that whole 6 weeks for a desk job, which is insane. This was the first time I broke a bone, so I had like no expectations. I didn't really know what to expect. I just know that, you know, somebody's off Strava for a little while and then they're back on. All right, so first week after surgery was brutal. I took painkillers for the first 2 days, maybe 3 days after. But then the doctor called and asked me how I was doing. I'm like, I'm okay. I don't know what you're supposed to say, but and he was saying, well, you should try to get off these painkillers. And I said, okay. And so like right then I just stopped cold turkey. I don't want to get addicted to painkillers. So I just stopped and started taking Tylenol. The next 2 days or so were actually like really bad, where I was in pain all the time, like constantly looking forward to taking the Tylenol. I take it exactly 2 directions. I don't like try and overdose or something like that. The first week was me laying down on the couch all day. That's it. I didn't put a shirt on. I showered every 3 days. It was just like so painful. I would try and get up and walk around a little bit, but I just didn't really feel like doing anything. First week was like that. Into the second week, it was like pretty much like that as well. I started putting on a shirt by the end of the second week. I don't know if this happens to everybody, but for me, the actual incision, like right here, was really sensitive. If I had a shirt on and if it was rubbing against it, it just like really irritated it. It hurt. And that's since gone away, but for the first few weeks, it was really like that. All right, so starting week 2, that's really where I started to do this like physical therapy type thing. Where just trying to like keep or regain that range of motion. Up until that point, I hadn't really moved my arm at all. That was just letting myself heal from surgery. I went into the doctor. They took off the initial bandages and put on more Steri-strips, but no more bandages. They said the incision looked good, which was good because I didn't do anything. I don't know how it would end up being messed up. I'd been doing a little bit of the pendulums before in the first couple of weeks, but I could really feel myself starting to be able to do these pendulum exercises. The pendulum exercises are like where you lean over and move your arm just like this. Just use gravity and momentum. Like you move your whole body in order to move your arm. Yeah, on the second week, I started to run into more problems. My eye started freaking out, like it started going all red, and I didn't know why. I'm like, did something happen during surgery that's impacting my eye? Turns out no. It just was something else that happened, and my body was busy fighting off or repairing itself, and so it didn't really have any energy left to like help my eye, whatever happened there. So I just kind of let it go. One day after week 2 to the day, I got on the trainer again. I saw Jeff Linder doing it. He said the same thing where he did it, just get your legs spinning, and that's what I did. I got on for 30 minutes, did like 150 watts, which, before the crash I had about 315 FTP. So 150 should have been easy, but man, it was hard. That 30 minutes it took. But that's really when I started, and I'm like, okay, it's just going to go up from here. One thing that I did that I'm glad I did was got a gym membership, a YMCA membership. That's better than what I have at home, my kicker. So right now I'm actually pretty much sitting up, but in the future I should be able to get a little more aggressive fit, and I can adjust that. Where my bike at home, I can't adjust it. So I've been doing all of my training there, all my riding there. I can only handle an hour a day, not just physically, but mentally as well. I don't like riding indoors at all. So I'm keeping it at an hour a day, and I probably will do that until I can get back outside. So week 3 was my birthday. It was kind of an interesting birthday. I wasn't really able to do much. I've still been at home. Week 3 is still hard. I'm still down most of the day, except for getting to the YMCA and doing my workout. My workout. My parents came into town. They visited me, and I was able to actually have cake and ice cream, and so that was pretty fun. But again, still completely down. Week 3 is still hard. And I should also just mention that my kids have been great the entire time. They've been so sweet. They've helped me. My son actually even made me oatmeal one morning. I was able to talk him through how to make it, and he did it and did a great job. My daughter has also been awesome, where she really tries to hug me but be gentle. I'll always only do it on one side. Just great kids. Yeah, so this has been really disruptive to my life. It's made my wife have to start doing more. I couldn't do simple things like do the dishes. I'm still not working. I'm going back to work next week. It's crazy how without racing, without doing like crazy group rides, just riding home, this happened. And I know it's just a broken collarbone. This is probably one of the easiest bones to break in terms of like getting back to your normal life. But like it's been rough. One thing that I am excited for is to get back to training and to racing. I'm not going to be able to make some of the early races. The early birds start in January. Won't be able to do that, but I will hopefully be able to come back March or April-ish and get some of these later road races. I'm also thinking about maybe starting to do like cyclocross or maybe some like off-road gravel rides. I don't know. We'll see. I know that's what people do after they wreck once and start rethinking their life choices. Personally, I'm not afraid of doing some of these road rides or anything like that. It's more just kind of opened my eyes to other types of riding that I could do as I've been thinking about it. Actually, one other thing I want to share. When I was at the hospital getting an x-ray, a guy came in and he was hobbling. Man, he looked rough. Like he had a cane and was just like limping in. And I was listening to the conversation. He got T-boned by a gentleman, and they were both in cars. And this guy like was a wreck. And it was kind of the same thing with him. Some random Thursday, he's driving home, goes through a green where somebody else just T-bones him, ran a red and hit him, and his life is significantly changed, just like mine. I don't think there's anything about bikes that like increase that. It's going to happen. Just going outside of your house, you're taking risks. It's the same thing, like riding your bike, you're taking risks. Going to races, you're taking risks. I'm not giving up racing. I'm actually really excited to get back to it. So anyway, this is my update. Congratulations if you made it all the way through. Hope to see you out there.